In the summer of 2018, the seemingly idyllic life of a Colorado family was shattered by an unthinkable event.
Shanann Watts, pregnant with her third child, and her two young daughters, Bella and Celeste, vanished without a trace.
Their absence immediately raised alarms among friends and family, initiating a frantic search that would soon capture national attention. What began as a desperate plea for their safe return quickly evolved into something far more sinister, pulling back the curtain on a meticulously constructed facade.
Shanann and Chris Watts appeared to have everything.
Active on social media, Shanann frequently shared glimpses into their life, family vacations, celebrations, and the everyday joys of raising two spirited girls. Their home in Frederick, Colorado, seemed a sanctuary of happiness, a testament to their shared dreams. This public image of a loving, close-knit family made their sudden disappearance even more perplexing and heartbreaking to those who knew them and to the wider public watching events unfold. It was a concerned friend who first alerted authorities to Shanann's absence. After dropping Shanann off at her home following a business trip, the friend could not reach her and grew worried when Shanann missed a doctor's appointment.
This seemingly small detail initiated the formal missing persons report, triggering the initial police response.
The first steps of an investigation were taken, but no one could have predicted the harrowing path it would soon follow, nor the shocking revelations that lay ahead.
As the search intensified, Chris Watts, Shanann's husband, made a public plea for his family's return.
Standing before cameras, he expressed distress, urging anyone with information to come forward. His calm demeanor and carefully chosen words, however, struck many as unsettlingly detached, especially for a man whose pregnant wife and young children were missing. This initial public appearance would become a pivotal moment, shaping early perceptions and drawing scrutiny to his every action. The initial hope for a joyful reunion slowly began to fade as days turned into nights without any sign of Shanann, Bella, or Celeste. The community rallied, organizing search parties, but each passing hour without a lead amplified the collective anxiety. Meanwhile, the unusual circumstances surrounding the disappearance, coupled with Chris Watts's somewhat incongruous public persona, began to fuel whispers of suspicion.
The narrative of a simple missing persons case was quickly giving way to a more complex and disturbing reality. As the investigation progressed, law enforcement began to focus their attention more keenly on Chris Watts. The initial interviews revealed inconsistencies in his account of the events leading up to his family's disappearance. Detectives noted discrepancies, raising red flags that could not be ignored.
This shift in focus marked a critical turning point, moving the case from a general search to a targeted inquiry into the last person known to have seen the family alive, placing Chris directly under the microscope of suspicion.
The Watts family home, once a symbol of domestic bliss, became the epicenter of a forensic investigation.
Every corner, every item was meticulously examined for clues.
Surveillance footage from the neighborhood also became crucial, revealing Chris Watts's movements on the morning of his family's disappearance.
These technical details started painting a picture that challenged his initial statements, slowly chipping away at his facade of innocence and deepening the mystery surrounding the family's fate. Chris Watts's behavior during interviews and public appearances continued to draw concern. His lack of overt emotion, coupled with details that didn't quite add up, made many observers uneasy. While grief manifests differently for everyone, the contrast between his calm composure and the horrific situation amplified skepticism. This detachment became a key aspect of public perception, leading many to question his sincerity and fueling the growing suspicion that he knew more than he was letting on. Under mounting pressure, Chris Watts agreed to take a polygraph test. These tests are not always admissible in court, but they can be a powerful tool for investigators to gauge truthfulness and guide questioning.
The results, reportedly, indicated deception.
Faced with this outcome and relentless interrogation, the psychological walls Chris had built began to crumble. This moment marked a critical juncture in the investigation, forcing a reckoning with the secrets he desperately tried to conceal.
Following the polygraph results, Chris Watts's initial narrative began to unravel entirely.
Cornered by investigators, he eventually admitted to being involved in his family's disappearance, though his first confession was a partial truth.
He claimed Shanann had killed the children, and he, in a fit of rage, retaliated.
This initial, distorted confession was a desperate attempt to minimize his culpability, but it was enough to crack the case open and provide the first horrifying glimpse into the truth.
With the partial confession in hand, authorities pressed Chris Watts for the location of Shanann, Bella, and Celeste. The details he eventually provided led law enforcement to a remote oil field owned by Anadarko Petroleum, Chris's former employer.
The grim discovery there would confirm the worst fears of a nation that had watched the search with bated breath. This desolate industrial site, far from the suburban home, became the tragic final resting place for a mother and her two innocent children. The discovery at the oil field was devastating. Within the large oil tanks, the bodies of Bella and Celeste Watts were found. The image of these vibrant, innocent girls, whose lives were cut tragically short, sent a wave of shock and grief across the country. Their recovery cemented the horrific reality that this was no longer a missing persons case, but a triple homicide, painting a chilling portrait of unspeakable cruelty and betrayal within what appeared to be a loving family unit.
Shanann Watts's body was discovered buried in a shallow grave nearby, further confirming the depths of the tragedy.
Her unborn son, Nico, also perished. The full extent of Chris Watts's depravity became starkly clear. This devastating discovery extinguished any lingering hope and cemented the case as one of the most shocking acts of family annihilation. The image of a loving mother and her children, gone, resonated deeply, creating widespread anguish and disbelief among a horrified public. After the recovery of the bodies, Chris Watts provided a more complete and utterly horrifying confession. He admitted to killing Shanann, then driving his daughters to the oil field where he smothered them. He disclosed details of his motives, driven by a desire to escape his marriage and start a new life with another woman. This full confession laid bare the cold, calculated nature of his actions, revealing a man capable of unimaginable cruelty hidden behind a veneer of normalcy. The motive behind such a heinous crime emerged as a chilling portrait of self-interest and betrayal. Chris Watts had been involved in an extramarital affair, and his desire to begin a new life free from his family obligations became the driving force. The marriage, while appearing happy on social media, was reportedly strained, with financial pressures and ongoing disagreements adding to the underlying tension. This combination of factors ultimately led to his horrific decision to end his family's lives.
The news of Chris Watts's full confession and the discovery of his family's bodies unleashed a torrent of public grief and outrage.
Vigils were held across the country, as people struggled to comprehend such a monstrous act. The case sparked intense discussions about domestic violence, mental health, and the deceptive appearances that can mask dark secrets within families. The collective shock underscored the fragility of trust and the devastating consequences of betrayal.
Chris Watts was formally charged with multiple counts of first-degree murder, unlawful termination of a pregnancy, and tampering with deceased bodies.
The weight of these charges reflected the gravity of his crimes and the systematic nature of his actions.
His arrest and subsequent court appearances marked the beginning of a legal battle, though the overwhelming evidence and his own confession left little room for doubt regarding his guilt in this horrific family tragedy.
To avoid a lengthy and emotionally grueling trial, and potentially the death penalty, Chris Watts accepted a plea agreement. This decision spared Shanann's family the agony of sitting through graphic testimony and ensured a swift resolution to the legal proceedings. While the death penalty was technically an option in Colorado, the plea deal secured a life sentence, offering a degree of finality, though no true closure, for the victims' loved ones. On November 19, 2018, Chris Watts was sentenced. The courtroom was filled with raw emotion as victim impact statements were read, detailing the profound loss and devastation inflicted upon Shanann's family. Judge Marcelo A. Akopka delivered a scathing condemnation, handing down 5 life sentences without the possibility of parole. This moment marked the legal culmination of the horrific saga, solidifying Chris Watts's fate and recognizing the immense suffering he caused. Chris Watts was initially incarcerated in Colorado but was later moved to a maximum security prison out of state for his safety, due to the high-profile nature and heinousness of his crimes. His existence is now defined by the confines of a cell, a stark contrast to the family life he so brutally ended. His story serves as a chilling reminder of the capacity for evil and the irreversible consequences of choices driven by deception and selfishness, leaving an indelible mark on the public consciousness.
After the tragedy, the Watts family home in Frederick, Colorado, became a poignant and haunting reminder of what once was.
It stood empty for a time, a silent witness to unimaginable horror, before eventually being sold. The house itself became a symbol of the domestic nightmare, forever linked to the unspeakable acts committed within its walls. Its eventual sale was a step towards erasing a painful past for the neighborhood, though the memory persists. Beyond the headlines and the chilling details of the crime, it's crucial to remember Sean Ann Watts, Bella, Celeste, and unborn Nico as individuals whose lives were filled with joy and promise.
Sean Ann was a vibrant woman, a dedicated mother, and an aspiring entrepreneur.
Her life, though tragically cut short, continues to inspire conversations about recognizing warning signs in relationships and supporting victims of domestic violence. Her memory endures, not just as a victim, but as a reminder of life's preciousness.
The Chris Watts case serves as a stark illustration of the shocking deception that can exist beneath a seemingly normal surface.
The man who stood before cameras pleading for his family's return was, in reality, their killer. This profound betrayal of trust, both within the family unit and in the eyes of the public, left a lasting scar. The case challenges perceptions of who a monster can be, highlighting that evil can sometimes hide in plain sight, behind a smile. In the aftermath of the Watts tragedy, many sought to understand if there were warning signs, subtle red flags that could have predicted such a horrific outcome. While hindsight is always 20/20, experts and the public alike discussed the dynamics of control, manipulation, and the potential for violence when a partner seeks to entirely dismantle their current life without consequence. This case underscored the importance of recognizing unhealthy patterns in relationships. The Chris Watts case garnered immense media attention, from local news to national and international coverage. Documentaries, true crime series, and countless articles delved into every aspect of the story. While this coverage brought awareness to the tragedy, it also raised questions about sensationalism and the public's consumption of true crime. The case became a benchmark for media's role in criminal investigations, shaping public opinion and keeping the story alive long after the conviction. Despite Chris Watts's confession, some aspects of his true motive remain a subject of discussion and analysis. While the affair and desire for a new life were stated, the sheer brutality in the killing of his own children defy easy explanation. Psychologists and true crime enthusiasts continue to explore the depths of his mind, searching for a more comprehensive understanding of the pathology behind such extreme actions. The why often lingers more than the how in such cases. The investigation into the Watts case presented unique challenges for law enforcement, from the initial missing persons report to extracting a full confession. The tactics used by the investigators, particularly during the interrogation phase, have been studied as examples of effective, albeit emotionally taxing, police work. The case highlighted the critical importance of meticulous evidence collection, psychological pressure, and persistent questioning in unraveling complex and deceptive criminal narratives.
Sean Ann Watts' active presence on social media played a dual role in the case.
Initially, it created a public image of a perfect family, making the tragedy even more shocking. Later, these posts provided investigators with insights into the family's dynamics and timeline, while also allowing the public to feel a personal connection to the victims. Social media thus became both a stage for deception and a source of crucial, albeit tragic, information. The horrific details of the Watts case brought renewed attention to the pervasive issue of domestic violence and family annihilations. Advocacy groups used the platform to highlight the dangers of seemingly normal relationships that hide abusive patterns. The case served as a tragic example, urging communities to be more vigilant, to offer support to those in need, and to break the cycle of violence through education and intervention, emphasizing that hidden dangers can exist anywhere.
From behind prison walls, Chris Watts has reportedly expressed remorse and a search for spiritual understanding.
While these statements are met with skepticism by many, they reflect an attempt to reconcile with the enormity of his actions. However, for the families shattered by his crimes, forgiveness remains a distant or impossible concept, with the pain of loss and betrayal continuing to reverberate through their lives, ensuring his heinous acts will never truly be forgotten.
Bella and Celeste Watts, vibrant and full of life, are forever remembered as innocent victims of their father's unspeakable acts. Their bright smiles and playful spirits, often captured in Shanann's social media posts, became a heartbreaking contrast to their tragic fate. The memory of Cece and Bella serves as a powerful reminder of the preciousness of childhood and the profound impact of their loss on all who followed the case, keeping their light alive amidst the darkness. Despite the conviction and the detailed confession, the Chris Watts case leaves many with lingering questions. How could a seemingly ordinary man commit such extraordinary evil? What were the hidden psychological processes that led to this catastrophic unraveling? The full depth of his pathology continues to be dissected, yet complete answers often remain elusive, highlighting the complexities of the human mind and the limitations of understanding ultimate betrayal. The town of Frederick, Colorado, was irrevocably changed by the Watts tragedy. What was once a quiet, growing suburb became synonymous with a horrific crime. While the community has strived to heal and move forward, the memory of Shanann, Bella, Celeste, and Nico serves as a permanent scar. The case is a reminder that even in the most seemingly tranquil settings, unimaginable darkness can emerge, leaving a lasting impact on the fabric of a community. At its core, the Chris Watts case is a profound narrative of betrayal. A husband's ultimate betrayal of his wife and children, a father's betrayal of his sacred duty, and a betrayal of the trust placed in him by his family and community. This deep-seated treachery resonates far beyond the immediate victims, serving as a cautionary tale about the fragile nature of human relationships and the devastating consequences when trust is deliberately and tragically violated. The Chris Watts case, while a chilling narrative, also offers profound lessons. It highlights the importance of open communication in relationships, the need for vigilance against domestic abuse, and the crucial role of support systems for those struggling. Beyond the sensationalism, the true legacy lies in empowering individuals to recognize warning signs and fostering a community where such hidden horrors can be prevented, or at least brought to light, before it is too late. Though years have passed since the harrowing events, the Chris Watts case remains etched in the collective memory. Shanann, Bella, Celeste, and Nico are not just names in a true crime story, they are remembered as individuals whose lives were violently taken. Their story continues to serve as a powerful, albeit tragic, reminder of the fragility of life and the enduring human need for justice, remembrance, and the unwavering pursuit of truth, ensuring their memories endure. The Chris Watts case illustrates the devastating human cost of unchecked desires and profound selfishness. It leaves behind a shattered family, a scarred community, and a nation grappling with the dark reality of family annihilation. The ripples of this tragedy continue to spread, a stark warning of the capacity for darkness within seemingly ordinary lives and a poignant testament to the importance of empathy, understanding, and holding those accountable for their unspeakable actions. The story of Chris Watts and the tragic end of his family continues to haunt and provoke. It stands as a chilling example of how appearances can deceive and how quickly a seemingly normal life can descend into unimaginable horror. This case is a somber reflection on the complexities of human nature, the hidden struggles within relationships, and the enduring quest for answers in the face of such senseless loss. It urges us to remember the victims and learn from the darkness.